Hi, this is Jean, and I'm going to be talking to you about IEW Structure and Style Level A Year 1, the second half of the program. IEW stands for Institute for Excellence in Writing. This past summer, another mom and I took our kids through the second part of their first level of Structure and Style. Structure and Style is the program in which Andrew Pudawa teaches the lessons himself from DVDs or streaming. This is video 2 of 2. You can see part 1 that I did last year at this time. It's a half-hour video, and during that video, I'm telling you a little bit about the program, and there's some audio of me working with one of my kids on an IEW lesson on the writing and fixing it up, the dress-ups. The things that we went over this past summer were writing from pictures, summarizing multiple references, and inventive writing. If you want to get to my video, you can go here, or you can just click Jean Gunderson IEW for the first half of the Structure and Style 1A video. First of all, how were our results? So in 2024, during the summer, we had kids on the program. How did they do on their writing tests? Well, we had 5 families during the first summer, and they were a mixture of homeschool, parochial school, and public school students. And we only have the 2 families that have kids in public school, mine and another family, and those kids did very well on the Smarter Balanced spring testing on the writing portion. However, correlation does not imply causation. Of course, they were instructed by their teachers at the school in writing all year long, and they also had parents that made them take an intensive writing program during the summer. So there's a lot of things that could have been going on that contributed to those high scores. But one student, not my child, but one of the other kids got a perfect 10 on the writing component of the Smarter Balance assessment. So that was really good news. And at least we know that IEW is not harming them in any way with their writing. But I do think that it does help. According to IEW.com, our materials provide clear step-by-step instructions for teachers and students, making the process of learning to write effective and enjoyable. Effective, yes. The other mom and I do really feel that this is an effective program. Enjoyable, for us, maybe. For the kids, not so much. But would there be a different intensive writing program that they could do over the summer that they would enjoy more? Probably not. This one was okay. I mean, it's a good program, and I just don't think there's going to be another summer writing program that we would make them do that would be more enjoyable. But Andrew Pudawa does really try to make it fun. One of the thoughts behind IEW is imitation before innovation. Yes, this approach works well. So instead of saying, write about a time that you blah, 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 write about a time that blah, 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 that kind of thing, they give you examples and you're writing from those examples. You have source texts, you're writing your keyword outlines from there, and then you're writing from your keyword outline, and then you're going back and fixing it up. The other thing that they do have is they do have inventive writing, but that's after a while, after you've written from source text for a while. So you're getting very comfortable with the type of writing that is expected. So for the inventive writing, you write from a source text. I mean, you don't write from a source text. You write a KWO about your own thing that you're going to write about, and then you write from that KWO. The most useful part of IEW is the KWO. That's the keyword outline. Although IEW is a writing program, its biggest benefit may be forcing close reading of source texts because of the KWO, the keyword outline. So if you want to know more about the IEW process, I do suggest that you sign up for the 12 days of IEW. That happens around Christmas time, and they will send you a freebie every day. And they even sent me 2 books in the mail, and they signed me up for free access that I could watch 15 hours of Andrew Pudawa teaching me about the program. And then all I had to do was unsubscribe before it renewed. So all of that was free. I really recommend that you sign up for the 12 days of IEW if you want to know more about their approach to writing. But what it is you take a source text and you read it. Then you read it again and you underline what keywords are standing out to you. Then you write a keyword outline from that source text. So for the first sentence, you're writing 3 key words from that first sentence. But you can only use 3 words or less, but you can use unlimited abbreviations, pictures, and numbers. So you're really looking closely at that source text. And then you go sentence by sentence, or later on you would go paragraph by paragraph. At school where I'm using it, we're going paragraph by paragraph, but in level 1A of IEW, you only go sentence by sentence. So then you take your KWO, your keyword outline that you've written, you set aside the source text, you read from your KWO to another person so that you are able to tell back what you learned in that text. And then you go and write from that KWO, sentence by sentence, into now complete sentences. And then you go and use some dress-up techniques and some other techniques, such as using some words from the last sentence as the title of your writing. And it really forces a close reading of the source text and the things that you have written. I, for example, just worked with some upper elementary kids I started using IEW here at the school this year after I've used it 2 summers with my own kids and other kids from the community and their parents. And we read about George Washington's birthplace in one of their social studies texts. And so the last sentence said, the George Washington Foundation is working on preserving this site, or blah, 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 whatever. And so when I was forced to go back to that last sentence, I came up with the title, George Washington's Foundation, from the fact that it was the George Washington Foundation is blah, blah, blah. And another kid came up with Building It Back. And there's just a lot of great stuff that happens when you use this approach to writing, not just for writing, but also for deep comprehension, understanding of the texts that you are reading. You can use the KWO in conjunction with the strategies from the Writing Revolution. I just read that book recently, and I know that that is a widely used book. And I think that they can go together. So for example, one of their main strategies in the Writing Revolution is because, but, so. You state the thing that happened. This happened because. This happened, but this happened so. And you're really thinking about those relationships there. Well, if you have a KWO from the text that you just read, you're really going to have a deeper understanding of that text, and you're going to be able to think more clearly and specifically about the kinds of things that you would need to write for those activities from the Writing Revolution. So I do think that those 2 things can go together. There are 2 families left in the program, just myself and my kids and another woman that I work with at the public school and her kids. Now, some of the other families one of the other families does IEW through Classical Conversations, homeschooling family. And then another family needed the time to work on the Latin that we also work on at church, but we do that during the school year. So we do the writing during the summer. So next summer, we will do the first half of level A. Oh, yeah, that's right. Level A, year 2. So the same level, but the second year of that, where they just add a bit more, they add 2 more units, and then they make things longer. We will invite others to join us. So that is right. We did not invite others to join us this past summer because we were in the middle of a program. We were in level A year 1, but we're going to start level A year 2 next summer. We'll do it for 2 years. Another pullout teacher and I are using this program in upper elementary, the public school at which we teach. And for that, Andrew Pudua, his lessons go kind of slowly when he is presenting on the streaming or the DVDs. So I watch the videos at 2 times speed before I teach the class. I had the students watch the first couple of lessons, but now I either teach it myself or just show pieces of the lesson. Usually I don't show them making the keyword outline. We make the keyword outline ourselves. And then I do sometimes show Mr. Pudua teaching the new dress-up technique. And that's because of how slowly his lessons go, and I don't have that amount of time with my students. Although we did watch all of it with our kids when we did it Sunday afternoons in church during the summer. Although IEW 1A is still going sentence by sentence, we are going paragraph by paragraph in my public school group because their grade level work is so long. So we're doing number 1, instead of the first sentence, we're doing 3 keywords. and unlimited abbreviations, numbers, and pictures for the first paragraph, and so on. This is going very well. They are doing a really great job with this. At one point during this summer, this program jumped the shark for me. I am going to show you that in just a moment. It was asking too much. Level 1 is supposed to be for grades 3 to 5, and it was getting a bit intense. I would say it is for a bit older than that. I wouldn't do it with anybody younger than 4th grade, but I would say 4th through 6th, 7th, 8th, somewhere in there is what the actual level of this program is. I make sure that my kids don't spend more than about 30 to 45 minutes writing and revising, adding their dress ups, doing all of their work for the thing that we're writing that week. So we did not do the entire summarizing multiple references activities, which I'll show you in a moment, nor did we do the 5-paragraph essays. Yes, they got to 5-paragraph essays in a 3rd to 5th grade program. We didn't do all of that, but we still worked on getting some information down and then going back and using the techniques for revising that IEW teaches in level 1. So what do these camels have to do with IEW? Well, there's a lot of work about camels, a lot of information about camels in level 1. And you'll see my son's example in a moment where at first he had said, Frigo Camelo does this, Frigo Camelo does that. I said, what are you talking about? And it turns out that there is an Italian brain rot character named Frigo Camelo. So we really had a lot of fun. Turns out we had a camel that came with a Lego Minecraft set, and we tried to show how he carries a refrigerator on his back, which is what we had learned about with some nomadic tribes. And then we tried to make him into Frigo Camelo, and then we bought a Frigo Camelo set off of the internet and built it. And then my son randomly put a finger hand from Wall Drug on there that has nothing to do with the writing. But we really tried to keep it as fun and light as possible during the summer. I would let the kids use slang words and say, your other teachers may not accept this during the school year, that kind of a thing. This is what the keyword outline looks like. You have, this is one about, this is actually from the first half of the program, but Sahara sand vipers, Mojave rattlesnakes, and Gray's monitors, and then information about them. And remember, you can use 3 words per line, and then you can use unlimited pictures, numbers, and symbols. Pictures, numbers, symbols, abbreviations. Okay, and then this is where it jumped the shark for me this year. So you see that this was a 3-paragraph essay about desert reptiles. But that was a KWO for that essay. But then during the summer, when we were in Unit 6, there were 3 source texts, and each one talked about ostrich racing, horse racing, and camel racing. So you had to go through each text and pull out all of the horse racing things. So text 1, horse racing, text 2, horse racing, text 3, horse racing, and then make a fused outline with the most important information from your 3 keyword outlines about horse racing. But then you were supposed to do the same thing for camel racing and for ostrich racing. So you would have had 12 keyword outlines. And I thought, that is too much. So we didn't do that. We just wrote about one of the kinds of racing. So that's where it jumped the shark for me. But then we were able to just adapt for our own kids, and then also kind of pull back and go on to the next units. But while we were in that unit, we just shortened what they were expected to do. So here is one of the essays from Summarizing Multiple Sources, and it's about the nomadic Bedouin. And you can see here where it's highlighted, that's where you take the clincher, which is the last sentence, and you repeat some of the words from the first sentence, so that those get highlighted. And then our dress up techniques, like use a who, which clause, a because clause, an ly adverb, and others, they get underlined. So that's what that would look like. And I did allow him to add a picture of Frigo Camelo here. And he said, They use solar refrigerators to store food and vaccines, kind of like how Frigo Camelos store food, except the Bedouins camels carry refrigerators and are real. So we could have a really fun compare and contrast too about Frigo Camelo and real camels. This is one that was, so that was writing from multiple sources. This is one that was inventive writing. And my 8-year-old really wanted to write about his trip to Disney World. By the way, you can type or you can write these. So right now at school, I'm having my upper elementary students handwrite these. Second semester, we're getting ready for testing. We're going to go onto the computer. My kids at home, they mainly chose to do computer. My 8-year-old dictated this to me. I was his scribe because he doesn't have the keyboarding skills yet. So this was about Disney World, and he wrote a long story about it. So I didn't want him to have to do dress ups in each paragraph. So we just found one of each dress up, like one because clause in the entire essay. So you can really adapt it for where your kids are, what their needs are, what your goals are for their writing. One thing to look at here is that they just started teaching us about how to start writing. They taught us the number 2 way to start writing, which is to start with a prepositional phrase, which he did here on our last day at the parks, comma, and then the rest of the sentence. This is another one that was inventive writing. This is what it would usually look like. You would usually see the dress ups underlined in each paragraph. Overall, the 2 of us educators who did have our own kids in this program over the summer did think it was worthwhile. We did do some adapting, and we are doing adapting at school as well for the needs of our students and our goals for their writing. But I definitely think it's something for you to look into. I do recommend signing up for the 12 days of IEW through their website so that you can get free information about this program. Thank you.